Well, joining me to speak on the effects of the nation's border closures in the past 8 years of the Buhari administration, entrepreneur Obinaya URUAKPA, who's also a public affairs analyst, joins me. Thank you very much for your time. Now, I'll ask you, why did the policy of closing the nation's borders not yield the desired results, to ensure food sufficiency for the country in the last 8 years?
Thank you, Simisola. Thank you, Nigeria. Straight up, the policy was well intended, but you have to look at it holistically. Taking one policy from one perspective will not cut it, especially in the age of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And being the top leader in ECOWAS, the expectation of the ECOWAS region was that Nigeria, as their leader, will show direction. Closing the border is just a short-term measure to protect maybe a few big business corporates, and then if the sentiment, and then just trying to pander to that sentiment that we should grow Nigeria and feed Nigeria. But again, what are the foundational structures, systems and structures put in place to appropriate the benefits of such a policy, if it's actually a good policy to adopt? First of all, the policy of closing the borders, just like Rwanda, where I am at the moment, closing the borders against DRC because of rebel incursions. Yet I had a meeting yesterday and someone said they still with DRC Congo on food and so on. So for Nigeria, closing the border alienates other countries in West Africa, and it has implications diplomatically, not for this discussion. But for us, I do not think the closure of the border really worked, because foundationally, we need to look at land titling issues. The land use decree of 1978 needs to be looked upon. To what extent do people actually hold enough land to be able to farm in commercial quantity? Much of what you see in Nigeria is peasant agricultural practices. We do not particularly have commercial agriculture, mechanized agriculture, because of lack of proper investment, mechanization, and so on. From Akiwumi Additional, we saw some ramping up of that, the e-wallet system for farmers, fertilizer support, and all that. We do not think that has happened. Road infrastructure. Yes, effort has been made to build roads, but to what extent do the farmers go in to plant, move fertilizer into plant, and when it's time to harvest, do they also have enough road infrastructure and networks to bring things from rural areas into the cities? The next one is you need to look at customs reforms and even the capacity of the customs. I like the fact that we've built a 19.2 billion naira infrastructure for the customs headquarters. But it goes beyond that. Nigeria has over 1,500 porous borders, and we do not think we have enough customs officers to man those borders. The implication is that if you do not have enough customs officers, if you do not have enough capacity of the customs staff built, then you're going to have the available staff stretched, and then smuggling will continue. Yes, closure of border has led to 20% reduction in our fuel consumption, meaning that much of the fuel that used to cross the border, we have reduced that with bill. It still hasn't solved the problem. We still have oil subsidy in place. So let's call a spade a spade. It hasn't worked as expected. Rice was about 9,000 naira in 2015. Today, rice is selling at 42,000, 48,000, depending on where it's coming. Yes, Anchor Borrowers program launched in November 2015, I guess it was, by Aldrogwe and President Buhari in Kebbi State, and then with 9 states running that process. And yes, we had Lake rice, Lagos and KB come up. We have rice from different places, Umza rice and so on, rice and Kano, rice mills springing all over the place. But we need to also consider that we have not made enough investments as a nation in agriculture, which should have prepared us for the benefits of closing the border. I believe we should have put a few structures in place before closing the border, if closing the border was actually a good policy in the first place.
All right, entrepreneur and public affairs analyst Obinaya URUAKPA, thank you very much for speaking to us.